All right, so this is another version of support and resistance. So I really like this indicator. It's called Auto SR, and it just highlights areas where there was some strong support or resistance. And I like to attach the fib, and I use the fibs in a very unique way. So this is the way it's unique. I just do pretty much the fake out the main number and then 0.13, and then I like to see it forecasted, and we're able to find just approximate strong level of where it would be, and it does really well for finding like tops and bottoms of a channel, and it's specifically where price would be strong. So if it goes below here, this low, well, the next level to target is the around here, and then you can see that areas where there was it was hard to contend against, and we could see if this could predict like the top. So one thing we could do is so it reaches 12, we could just take 11, put it to 13, and see what happens. Do we get close to the top? And then lo and behold, that's the level that happened to catch the top, almost exactly. Obviously, we can't really know that's the top in a live situation, but it'll give you, like, if we were to fall below and reclaim underneath it, it could give you enough foresight on the week, like that weekly close right here, to short on that close. So that's kind of just the idea behind this is just in terms of like breakouts and reclaims of these areas. So we want to just redo that, undo that. Control Z. There we go. But and for the most part, when you start making these, this is using the indicator Auto SR by Auto SR by Oasis Trading. Um, I remove everything else but the SR levels. So, for example, if I open up the indicator, I don't have the fast support and resistance. I only have it on the weekly time frame, and I just do support, show resistance. And for the most part, I like the ribbon. Ribbon 20 is good. Ribbon 10 is good. But yeah, for the week, it's nice to use the 20. 40 is good. We could put on the 40. 40 I found out is really good for traps. Like you can see when it's in the trap zone, when it's getting ready to be trapped, or when it's trapping, like trap the bears here, trap the bears there, trap the bulls here, trap the bulls, trap the bulls, trap the bulls here. So I like the 40, but getting back to this very unique way of doing support and resistance, um, I take the fib, and then I pretty much bring it to a level, and then I kind of decide, okay, is this the level I wanted at? And we'll put it on the ladder, and then that's kind of just what I've called it, and we could see in just kind of a gist, like if it's something we want to continue with, we can move it here, and this looks like it's decent as far as like things where it makes sense to where it would be respected. We would have to kind of adjust it, so instead of 12, we'll put this at like negative or 1, and instead of instead of 12, then we'll put this as 1.13. And then I think that should set us up for a nice wide range. So like if we wanted to we were just interested in just the major swings, this one would do really well. if we wanted to know like a shorter kind of time frame of support and resistance, this would do equally well. It's just for the most part where things would chop, and it looks, depending on the trend, like here we got swooped by the trap right here. Trend broke, and we could see the channel where it would range based on the fib. And here we're ranging currently, and it looks like we're in the trap. It's either good. It looks like based upon market structure that this is the support's failing, so it could be a bull trap here on the corporate credit spreads. But we can see here, like we want to see it break this range to the upside or downside for a direction of corporate credit spreads, and like this ended up getting a really good estimation of where the range would begin consolidating based upon a forecast from a connection from the fib from here to here. So it did really well on a short-term basis. If we wanted a longer-term basis, we would move it here, and that's it. And we would be getting really good ideas of the high and the low. So I don't know, like it's very discretionary based. Maybe I will adjust one to where you just do the a big and like a big range and a smaller range, and we'll just move this to the weekly as well. So this is the smaller range. We'll just move this forward. This would be the bigger range on the HYGH, starting here, and then the bigger range would connect here, and then that way we can get tops and bottoms more accurately. So if our goal was tops and bottoms, we would look at this one. We could see where approximately tops and bottoms would be for big moves. And then whenever we want to see just general places to trade for range, if there's a change in direction, we can see, are we heading towards the bottom of a channel or top of a channel, and trade off of that. So that's pretty much this version of support and resistance. We use an indicator, and then we basically use some discretion to determine where we would like to target for support and resistance based on past history at a glance. And it's not a perfect system, but it does really good as far as like decent support and resistance of like tops and bottoms. I think there's not a whole lot to say other than that. But you do have to have an eye for it. It's a little bit of a playing around with to where you could just, where you could be satisfied. Like for a big range, this one makes the most sense to me. And then if we were to go for a smaller range, we would have to play around and see what makes the most sense. Because no one really teaches you of where to look. But for this, the most part, this kind of trains you of where to look when you create it. Like for example, here we're trying to sniff out a smaller range, and this is kind of what looks good. Here we made sure we got a place to anchor one spot, so we chose that one. It looks like this one's kind of a standalone, and then we anchored it to this, and it just happened to catch these lows and these highs like really well, and rejection areas and support areas. And here this low went through like four channels, but it did a really good job of catching that bottom. So, and this is the long-term corporate credit spreads, and it's nice to know where when we're rejecting, and it's kind of what you see, and that's kind of just the hard part of support and resistance. Um, there's some objective forms, and there's some things that are more discretionary. Like this one, we made a bigger range, and we don't see the same thing. Um, but in terms of like catching a low, it did really good for catching that low. Instead of it going through four channels, it only went through two. But this is like a bigger macro range of just support and resistance that we could bet on for probability. Of course, there's no certainties. There's only probabilities. But this is like the alternate form of support and resistance. It's a little hard to keep track of it all and what you prioritize as like the main thing you look at for support and resistance. But for experimental purposes, on either finding a top or a bottom, or just kind of hunting for a top or a bottom, I really like this method just because I really believe in the fibs and also the fib fake out areas, and to have some kind of guide as to like, okay, are we near the top of the end of the range or are we at the bottom end of the range? Okay, do not buy into resistance, do not short into support. You just kind of wait until things get a little more clear, but you get an idea of just where people buy and sell, and there's many different ways to find support and resistance, and this is kind of like a hybrid of a mix between discretionary and objective using the fibs. The fibs, I believe, like have an objectivity to them, and using this indicator helps with that objectivity and just finding strong support and resistance. But the fibs also, because there's many of these places to choose to anchor, can create some discretion. But I think that's kind of just the artistic ability about it, is that you could get somewhat close to finding some good support and resistance with a big range or a small range, and increase your chances of acting whenever price comes in those areas.